African Development Community Council of Ministers is set to meet to deliberate on a number of key issues pertaining to the region. Mozambique is facing threat from militant groups, the Islamic State. In neighboring Zimbabwe, there are claims of human rights violations by Harare. South Africa will be represented by International Relations Minister Naledi Pandor, State Security Minister Ayanda Dlodlo, Trade and Industry Minister Ibrahim Patel, and Finance Minister Tito Mboweni. Let's discuss the importance of this body. We're joined by political economist Sia Piniza. Sia, good evening. Thank you so much for your time tonight. A lot of people say that, they're tired of talk shops. It is time really for action, particularly as, countries are finding themselves really needing to know what economic, rejuvenation is really going to be plugged into their economies, particularly around this time, and looking at what COVID-19 has done. How important is such a meeting taking place right now?
Sure. I think also, before we speak of the importance of the structure and SADC integration generally, we should also be cognizant of the state of the global economy currently. There's an expectation that the global economy is going to decline by about 4.9%, and this means that the regional economy, particularly the African economy more broadly on the continent, is going to be increasingly important for not just South Africa, but countries in the region as well, in terms of intra-regional trade. You'll remember that last year countries passed the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which they started trading according to in July this year. So the SADC body then fits into the broader context of regional integration on the continent. Particularly the Council of Ministers is part of the SADC structures, which implement an ongoing program in order to promote trade and regional integration on the continent and the region. And this is particularly important as economies try to recover from the impact of COVID-19, Bongo.
Should Zimbabwe be off the table?
Well, the current agenda is going to be it was looking at a report on the COVID-19 impact, looking at the continuity in terms of the regional trade agenda, as well as proposals towards the Vision 2050, which is the next step of the regional industrialization strategy. However, issues on the current agenda in terms of politics and security weren't necessarily discussed in this meeting, and will probably be discussed when the meeting of the Organ on Peace and Security meets later this year. However, this is definitely what a lot of people have been trying to echo in terms of the discussions taking place with the summit due to take place in the next 2 days, that this summit should also make some pronouncements, particularly around rising political tensions in Zimbabwe, but also rising political tensions in Cabo Delgado, which are really rising concerns within the region, Bongo.
And would you say that Zimbabwe is now at crisis level? And if SADC were to get involved, where do they begin?
Well, really, I think the challenges in Zimbabwe are sort of multifold. Obviously, leading on the back of the impact of the COVID-19 economic crisis, which has now, mushroomed or exacerbated political challenges. I think really the role of SADC is to try and broker a new sort of arrangement in terms of the government of national unity per se, which is similar to what we saw in the 2008-2013 period, which was a real recovery period for the Zimbabwean economy until the 2013 elections took place and we went back again to the previous shenanigans in terms of the political challenges. So I think really the problem in Zimbabwe needs a political solution, which SADC has a vital role in facilitating and ensuring that the process is both fair and peaceful, Bongo.
Let's talk about the issue of border controls, because that's also another issue that some are calling for the SADC, the SADC meeting to really just look into, particularly as the ministers are in conversation there. How much of an issue is this, particularly looking at, those visuals that we carried here on Newsroom Africa of people just really crossing the border, in fact, the fence illegally. And these visuals, we're playing tonight. These are people that are crossing the fence illegally, making their way into South Africa to buy something to eat, because they say that their money is really worth nothing in Zimbabwe, because that currency, even, some of those civil servants not being wanting to be paid with the bonds, and also saying that they also now want to be paid with US dollars. Let's look at the issue of border controls, not only where Zimbabwe is concerned. How critical is this going to be for this meeting?
Sure. Look, the issue in Zimbabwe is, I think, very, very critical. I think having been a country that used to be a breadbasket for the region to being a basket case as it is now is of a significant concern. Over 800% in terms of inflation, which means that really the economy has been destroyed in Zimbabwe. But obviously this depends on whether the country can recover and attract investment in production, which is, I think, the big obstacle that's holding back Zimbabwe in terms of its economic recovery. The fact that without that crucial investment in productive capacity and also its ability to export, no interventions by the Reserve Bank in terms of instituting a new currency will really take off. And so really the crisis in Zimbabwe is linked to the COVID impact and is of critical importance in the region, but I don't see it being overcome anytime soon, at least not without the region being able to take control of the COVID-19 crisis in the region, and then in order to make the political solutions that need to take place, which needs time, and I think some considerable facilitation by SADC. And then obviously you add the other challenges that are stifling Mozambique in the neighborhood, which adds now further strain to the region and creates a major concern that threatens the natural gas investments. But I'm not very much concerned of the challenges in Mozambique, because I think there are quite significant interests that are invested there, and I doubt that the monies invested will go to waste just purely on the threats of global terrorism. But I think, yes, the challenge in Zimbabwe is of great concern, but really only a political solution will be able to start paving a way in terms of an economic recovery in Zimbabwe.